Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to show you how to restore old photographs. Okay? Now, this is one of my most favorite things to do in Photoshop. I love making things look better, and I'm sure you do too. Let's go ahead and begin. You can see we're looking at a before picture right here and an after picture. Okay? I'm going to show you how to get this before picture to look like the after picture. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this right now and load up the original. I can look at a photo pretty much and tell what tool I'm going to need for what job, okay? But I'm going to show you the tools that I use to restore photos. Let's go ahead and check this photo out right now. Let's go ahead and look around it. Look, we have some ink down here on the bottom left of the photo, okay? Well, when I see that ink, I immediately think patch tool. Patch tool comes to my head. I'm going to come right over here to the toolbar and select the patch tool. It's right here. If you don't see it, the healing brush may be selected. Click on the healing brush. The patch tool is the second one down. Bring the patch tool over and just draw a selection around that ink, just like this. Just draw a selection around it. And then I'll just click in the middle of that selection and just drag up. And you can see it change, and I can replace that area with another area on the image, like just right above it. I can go ahead and release the mouse and click outside of selection, and it's patched. I also have this little area right next to it, little ink that got outside of the image there. I'm gonna go ahead and click in the middle of that selection. After selecting it, drag it to another location, usually right next to it, and release the mouse, click outside of the selection, and gone. So you can see how fast this is, okay? Now, while we still have the patch tool open, let's go ahead and use the patch tool on all the areas where we would use the patch tool. So we don't have to keep switching back and forth, so selecting the healing brush, selecting the patch tool, selecting the clone stamp tool. Let's just get all the patch tool stuff out of the way. Come right up here, look at this. We got this crack going up here. I'm gonna select this crack here, whatever you wanna call it. I'm gonna draw a selection around it. Whoops, let me try that one more time. I'm gonna draw a selection around this crack and just come up here and around and down the other side. There we go, and select that. But what I want to do is I need to click inside that selection and drag that selection to another location on the image that I feel that will match the location that needs to be patched. So I'm going to come right over here to the other side of her, right here, and just go ahead and release the mouse. Click outside of the selection, and it's patched. It was that easy, folks. Now, some people will look at that and go, oh my gosh, it's going to take me all day to do that one. It's not going to take you that long. Use the patch tool, okay? If you got big chunks, use the patch tool. I can come right over here to her shoulder. We got a little crease, scratch coming down. I can go ahead and draw a selection around it. Like this. Go ahead and meet the selection where I began. Go ahead and click inside the selection, drag it right next to it, release the mouse, click outside of the selection. It's gone. You see how easy this is, folks. It's not that hard, okay? If you want to follow along with me, go into the Project Files folder. Open up the Restoring Old Photographs folder, and you can open up and you find this restoring_before.psd file right here, and you can follow along right with me, okay? And you can really see this for yourself. I'm going to come over here. We got some scratches over here. I'm going to draw a selection around it. It's done. See how fast this is? This is so cool. We have a little area right here. I'm going to draw a selection around it. Click in the middle of the selection. Drag it into another location to a smooth location. Release the mouse. Patched. Okay? So I can do this for a lot of the areas on the image. Okay? And I can just keep doing this. I always like to get the big chunks first. I'll draw a selection around the big chunks. There we go. Just to get those out of the way. Here we go. And we've got stuff like this up here at the top. Let me show you a cool tip for this. I probably wouldn't necessarily use the patch tool for corners because I don't like to get very close to corners using the patch tool because sometimes the blending and things like that, it gets a little confused when you have a nice, hard edge like a corner or something like that, okay? So what I like to use is actually the selection tools, okay? For this corner up here, I'm going to use the lasso tool because I don't want to create, like a square selection or a circular selection. I just want it to be sort of like random. So what I'm going to do is actually come over here to the options bar, and I'm going to feather this selection a little bit. Okay, I'm actually going to just put, let's go ahead and just put 5 for the feather right up here. Okay, and then I'm going to come over to this little page curl right below it and draw a selection. Okay, and then I'm going to hold down Option Command. Okay, and that's that would be Control-Alt on the PC. And when you do that, you're going to see these two little arrows. You see that? I'm going to click right in the middle of that selection and drag a copy over the corner and then release the mouse. Okay? Release the keys, click outside of the selection to deselect it, and there you go. It's patched. You see how easy that was? So I can do that for all the corners. Okay? I could come over here and select right below this top part here because it looks like it's a little bad on the very top. And if you want, I can just zoom in so you can see this a little more. There you go. What I'm going to do here is actually, because we've already feathered the selection, folks. We've already feathered it. You see right here? I have 5 pixel feather set in my options. So all I have to do is hold down Option Command, and that's Control-Alt on the PC, and you get the 2 little arrows. See that? 2 little arrows. Click inside the selection and drag a copy up to patch. Release the mouse, release the keys, click outside of the selection, you're done. And you can see, since we have feathered the selection, it's nice and smooth. The patch is nice and smooth. Okay, so I can come, let's see, this looks like a cool area. I can come right over. What I'm going to do is select the bad area first. Okay, watch this very closely. I'm going to select the bad area first with the lasso tool and then drag. I'm not going to hold down any keys. I'm going to click in the middle of that selection and drag that selection to another area. Okay, that looks like it'll fit. Then I will hold down Option Command, that's Control-Alt, and I get the 2 little arrows, and then I can move a copy, and patch that up, right up there. And when I have it, I go ahead and release the mouse, release the keys, click outside of the selection, patched. That easy, folks. I'm going to go ahead and go up here to View and just zoom out here, or better yet, I'll just use the Navigator palette. But you can see, look how much better it's looking already. So I'm going to come through here, and now if you don't want to necessarily make a selection every time you have to patch something, you're probably going to want to use the healing brush tool. Okay? To preview the brush size, go ahead and press the caps lock key on the keyboard. That's way too small. I'm going to have to increase the diameter of the brush. And I do recommend, when you're touching up with the healing brush tool, to have the hardness all the way down to 0. That way you get a nice smooth patch job. So here's my brush size right here. You can toggle back and forth between precise and brush size by pressing the caps lock key, okay? I'm going to click outside of the healing brush options by just clicking on the image. Now, what I'm going to do is actually zoom into the image. And I can't stress this enough. Make sure you're very close inside the image, because a lot of stuff, if you're zoomed out like this, there's a lot of stuff you can't see. Okay, so you need to zoom in and get a little bit closer, even like 200% if you'd like. And now I can see a lot more stuff in here. You see that? So I'm going to select the healing brush tool. And what I'm going to do is actually hold down the Option key on the keyboard, and that's the Alt key, and click in a smooth area right over here. And then just go ahead and patch that, just like that. So I can click right next to it, like hold down Option, and that's Alt on the PC, and click in an area next to the bad area that looks good, like right here. Boom. Then I'll release the key, come right over, and then click the mouse to patch and release the mouse. Okay, did you see that? Let me go ahead and come down here. I'm going to come, you see this little bad, kind of a scraggly area over here? Well, I'm going to come right up here because this area is smooth, right? Nice smooth area up here. So I'm going to hold down the Option key, click in this smooth area. There we go. And then I'm going to bring the brush right over to this bad area and just paint around just like this. Just like I'm doing here, folks. There we go. Oh, you don't want that little crosshair. You see that little crosshair above the brush? You want that to stay within the smooth area. Okay, if you want it to look good. I'm going to release the mouse. Patched, just like that. So you can see how quickly I can go sample, patch. I can hold down the key, sample, patch. You can see how fast you can do this. Okay, if you're really good with the mouse, I'm sure a lot of people are, you could really come in here quickly and just patch stuff up so fast. Okay, so for the tiny little specks, I would recommend using the healing brush, because you don't have to because if we had the brush tool, we would have to draw a selection over everything that we wanted to patch and then drag that selection to another area. But with the healing brush tool, we don't have to do that. We can just hold down the keys, click in an area, patch. Okay, it's a lot faster. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and scroll up here a little bit. Looking pretty good, guys. All right, I'm gonna come over here, patch this up right there, looking good, patch this up. Now, I'm not gonna go too crazy. I could spend here, I could spend the whole 45 minutes and really make this thing look good. Okay, but this is a tutorial, and I want you to actually go and try this yourself. Okay, I don't want to bore you to death here. So I'm gonna go ahead and click, there we go, patch. Looking good, looking good. Now, you might not always get it, okay? Because it takes, if you think you're going to patch one area and you do it, it doesn't look good, well, you may have to do it again. Look at this little speck on her hair. Well, I can hold down Option right next to it, click the mouse, and then move my cursor over, release the mouse so I can see my brush, and then click the mouse to patch. Just like that. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Right next to here, we have some more specks down here. I'm going to do this pretty quickly, okay? Since you already know how to do it now, I'm going to do this quickly, and you can watch to see how quickly I do it. And this is usually the pace that I go. If I'm really retouching or restoring an old photograph, this is about the speed that I will go at right here. Now, you don't have to remove, you have like a little beauty mark or something like that. I can easily just wipe that out. Let me try that again. I can easily wipe that mark out, but you know what? Sometimes that adds a little character, so I like to leave stuff like that in there. I can come up here on the forehead, touch that up a little bit. There's some areas on the forehead that look like they could probably use a little smoothing out. So there's always something, I always like to really, look back, zoom out of the image if I can. Now, if the brush, you're going in little tight areas and the brush is too big, hold down the control key and just control click. And you'll get the little brush options will come up on the screen. Okay? Now, on the PC, that is right click. Just go ahead and right click and you can see the options right there. Okay? Look right here where her eye is. I can just, I'm going to go ahead and hold down Option, Sample an Area, and click. There we go. Hold down Option, Sample an Area, and click. And go ahead and patch this up over here. There we go. Sometimes the same size brush will work just pretty good for most everything. But sometimes you'll need to make the brush a little smaller if you've got a really tight area you need to get into. Okay? It's looking pretty good, guys. I mean, I think this is looking pretty sweet here. So now we've got some really nasty, I don't know what it is, right here. Okay? And we're right along that edge there on her shirt, but I think we can still pull it off. I'm just going to come down here and just try to patch this up a little bit. Make sure that brush doesn't go outside of it. I can click right here and sample. There you go. And go ahead and undo that. I'm going to hold down the Option key, sample just above it, and there you go. So practice makes perfect, guys. There you go. So it's just, it's all about time, and I'm just going to come through here and just keep on patching. What I can do is actually just zoom out here. Let's go ahead and move over to another. Wow, it's looking so much better already. You see that? Especially when you zoom in, because you really get all the little nick and crannies and really make the image look a lot better. Now, I'm not going to do the full thing. I'm not going to get everything during this video. I just want to show you how it's done. I want to show you how we restore photographs, okay? So this is how you do it, but I'm not going to do the entire thing right now. But I am going to show you some of the biggest moves that you can do to really get the best results on the photos that you're retouching at home or the photos that you're restoring. So look down here. We have this really ugly line going across here. Actually, I can just select the patch tool on the toolbar, and I can just draw a selection around this really nasty crease on the very bottom here. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is just click inside of that. And I'm probably going to drag below. I can drag above, but I'm probably going to drag below first. Let's see what happens. I'll release the mouse. Wow. So that did a pretty good job. So experiment, drag below, above, to the side, and see what gives you the best result. Okay, it's looking good. Now I'm going to show you how to actually put color back in an old black and white or sepia tone photo. Okay, now this is really easy to do. This is actually not that hard to do because we use Quick Mask. And I'll show you how to do it right now. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into an area like her face. that I want to change, I'm going to come right down here to the bottom of the toolbar and go into quick mask mode. Okay, I'm going to edit in quick mask mode. Then I'm going to come right up here and select a brush. Okay, this is pretty large, so I'm going to control click, right click on the PC, and just make the diameter just a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to come over here on the image and just start to paint. Okay, so we are going to paint where we want to give her like a skin tone. Okay, so I'm just going to paint through here, up here. And when you get to little tighter areas, bring up the options, make the brush smaller, and then come into those tight areas just like that. You see how fast that was? Really easy to do, folks, especially when you're getting around the eyebrows and things like that. You just want to be really careful. Unless you want the skin tone to be over the eyebrow, you know, it's up to you. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger and go ahead and continue here. Okay, I'm just going to come through here and just get the outside. I want to make sure that I don't get outside of her face, okay, because I don't want that area colorized. I only want her skin colorized. And so this could take a little bit of time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward here. Okay, there we go. Now you can see that I have not touched the eyes that much, okay? Get really close to the eyes. Be sure not to touch the whiteness of the eyes, okay? But you do want the eyelids and things like that. Now, when it comes to the lips, down here, I like to leave the lips separate. I don't like to mask the lips when I'm doing the skin tones because I like to go back and add some nice lipstick coloring and do that separately, okay? And also with the eyebrows, you can actually go back and just color the eyebrows separately as well. So there you go. That is the mask. All right, now let's switch back to standard mode by coming down to the bottom of the toolbar right here. There we go. And you should see the image become a selection. All right. Now come right up here to select and inverse that selection. So we're just selecting the face and the neck area. And what I want you to do is actually feather that selection, okay, just to make those selection edges nice and smooth. So come up here to select and come down here to feather, and I'm going to feather about, we can go about 5 or 10. I'm going to put about 5 and go ahead and click OK. There we go. Okay, now to colorize the skin and to colorize anything on a black and white or sepia tone photo, come right up here to Image, down here to Adjustments, and select Hue and Saturation. To colorize, we must come over here and click on the Colorize button. Okay, there you go. So now to adjust the color of how we want the skin to be, we would just, first of all, lower the saturation down and then come up here and adjust the hue. There you go. So I'll adjust the hue to an area where I feel that is closest to more like skin tones. Okay. Let's go ahead and move this down a little bit and just go ahead and take this up. It just takes a little bit of tweaking to do. There we go. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good right there. Now, if you don't want that selection there, while you're adjusting the color, come up here to View and come down here to Extras and make sure that's unchecked. Okay, and there you go. Check that out. So here we can adjust the color. Okay, you can adjust, colorize the skin. And when you like it, go ahead and click OK. So now, basically, all we do now, as you can see on a lot of the videos on this CD, I explain to you how to color the eyes, how to enhance the lips, and how to color black and white photos. So we use the same techniques here on out, okay, to finish the whole project here. I'm going to go up here to select and deselect that selection, and then I'm going to draw a selection around the lips. I'm going to go into quick mask mode by coming down to the bottom of the toolbar right here. I'm going to select the brush tool, and start painting on the lips. Okay, let's pretend that you want to make those some nice red lips. Well, we need to actually paint on these lips, okay, because we need to mask them first. I'm going to come up here. And of course, I'm doing this pretty quick. That way you can quickly see how I'm doing this. There we go. I'll come here, get the very edges of the lips there. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch back to standard mode and then come up here to, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out of the image just a little bit using the navigator palette. There we go. I'm going to come up here to select inverse selection. I'm going to come over here to select once more. Select feather and feather that by 5 pixels and press the enter key on the keyboard. Then come up to image, adjustments, come over here to hue and saturation. And I'll go up here to view and uncheck the extras button. Okay, so it doesn't show any other extras on the image. There we go. Now I will colorize. Look at that. And so I can control the lightness of the lips here. I can control the color, the saturation, on how dark I want that. And I can also control the hue, which will adjust the color of the lips. See that? So there's lots of different colors that we can choose from. That saturation is just a little bit too hard, but I'm going to leave it right about there. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now, if you want to do the eyes, you do the exact same thing. Okay. First, I'm going to go ahead and turn the extras back on and make sure to deselect that selection. You want to make sure you do that to avoid problems later on. But I'm going to zoom into her eye here. Click on the Quick Mask Mode button so I can edit in Quick Mask Mode. Draw on her eyes just like this. And I can hold down the space bar on the keyboard, and I'll get the Move tool, and I can move to the other eye and paint on the other eye just like this. Then I can zoom out of the image. Okay, switch back to standard mode. Go up here to select inverse selection. And then go up here to select and feather, and I'll probably only feather about 5 pixels now. And then go ahead and click OK. Next, I'll come up here to image, adjustments, come down here to hue and saturation, and colorize the eyes. But I'm also going to turn off the extras so I can see the eyes. So if I wanted blue eyes, I will adjust the hue until I see blue. And there you go. And you can adjust the saturation on how blue you want those eyes to be. When I like them, I will go ahead and just click OK. There we go. And we can do the rest of the image the same way as well. We mask the clothing. Okay? After you mask the clothing, you then inverse the selection, you switch back to standard mode, inverse the selection, feather the selection, and then go up to hue and saturation and colorize. Okay? Colorize the shirt here in the middle. Colorize the jacket. All right, and so that's how we do it. And you can even colorize the hair. Okay? And this is so easy to do, folks. You can see right here, this is the result. Okay, I'm going to show you another tip here. First of all, I'm going to come up here to view and go down here to extras so I can see my selection again and go up here to select and make sure that's deselected. Let me show you another tip. I'm going to show you how to smooth the photo out. Okay, if you've got an old photo, I'm going to show you how to smooth it out a little bit, add a nice, soft, romantic, smooth effect to it. And I have a video on this CD that will show you how to do this if you want to learn more about how it works. But I'm going to go over here to the Layers palette, click on the background layer, and drag it to the new layer icon to duplicate that layer. And then I'm going to come up here to select Blur, and then select Gaussian Blur to blur this out a little bit. There we go. Just add a nice soft blur over it, just like this. Okay. Then after this, I will click OK. I will come right over to the layer and lower the opacity down. And look how smooth that is. You see? Let me go ahead and zoom into the image. And you can see this is what it was before. And now this is after. So it's a nice soft look to the photo, okay, which makes it look more amazing when you have that final result. So there you go, folks. That's how we can restore old photographs, okay? So repeat the process. Repeat the process. Go around the image. Zoom into the image. Get close. And look at the little artifacts and things and little nits and crannies and little specks and things around the photo, and just remove those, and you just be amazed. It takes a little bit of time, but you'll get faster and better at it the more you do it.